Hello, Uncle Bert from the Cheese King. Hi, Linda.
Hi, how are you, Jay?
Good. How are you?
Really good.
That's good. That's good. I see you now.
I don't usually see people, but I figured, what the heck?
Yeah, what the heck? We don't mind seeing you. Jocelyn doesn't mind.
Nope. Hello, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, Jocelyn. Maybe Rabbi Bert will say hello. Also.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom, Jolo. Oh,
Yes.
there he is.
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome to the community.
As if I'm a pariah, right?
I'm not on the pariah. I'm getting ice cream and cheese for you. Or hamburgers and cheese, either way.
Nope.
Not for him.
Oh, not for me. You can have it. I'm not anybody's mitzvah policeman.
Well, we could put what else can we put on the hamburger? Oh, ice cream. Yeah, ice cream.
Right.
Ooh.
For the rabbi, why not?
Yeah, right. Right.
He eats everything. Right? Or anything.
No.
Is Tim,
No.
is Tim in person today?
Well, he never shows himself, but yes, he's always here.
Yes.
He lays in his bed at night. So
Okay.
at Torah study, he's there.
He
Keeps his
and
mask up. Yes.
I have something in common. We both had cataract surgery this week.
Oh, so did Tim.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, Tim and I are good friends, you know.
Yeah.
Well, Tim and I are cousins.
Well, that's your problem. I can't help that. Oh,
Degrees of separation.
this family's getting bad. I'm telling you. Now we have Mimsy here to control us.
Good.
You can't hear us yet. Right, Rabbi Bart?
Mimsy and I
where
are
is Mimsy?
sorority sisters.
Mimsy left us already. Boy, I'll tell you. Yay, Mimsy, you made it.
Hello.
Hello, Mimsy.
Are you
Rabbi
here?
Bart wants to say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Shabbat Shalom, Mimsy.
Shabbat shalom to you, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, Mims.
Shabbat shalom,
Hello,
Joey.
Joel.
It's Jay
Hi,
calling you.
Mim.
Hi,
You can
Linda.
say you can say hello to Jay, Mimsy.
No, I can't.
Oh, Rabbi Bird, now I'm upset.
Yeah, how are you, Jay?
Good. How are you, dear?
Fine, thank you. It's good to see you.
I don't see
All right,
you.
now I have to disappear.
Yep.
Oh, your God, you always disappear.
But
Jay,
I
you're my
don't
favorite to
usually
watch on TV.
appear.
Who?
I don't usually appear even.
I know. Look at Mimsy. She's not even appearing.
You know I'm here.
Rabbi
Oh, yes.
Bart knows you're here. He
Yes,
doesn't
I know you're
appear
here,
either.
Mimsy.
Well, be that way.
Hi, Peter.
Hi, Peter.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom.
Hey, Shabbat Shalom.
This is the other Peter down here. Hi, Peter. Shabbat Shalom. Helen, Shabbat Shalom.
I don't see them.
Who?
Peter Rosenfeld, you say is here?
Yeah, he's got that picture up there at the bottom.
Yeah. Hey, Jay.
Oh, there you
Hey.
are. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, Peter.
Shabbat Shalom. Oh, Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom, Peter.
Shabbat Shalom. That a happy
Shabbat Shalom,
group.
Peter.
Shabbat Shalom, Peter.
Not happy birthday. I hope not.
No, not till Christmas. That's my birthday.
Oh,
Rabbi birthday Christmas Day.
I knew I had, when I taught now at Temple Beth Israel Tuna, I had two brothers as students. One was born Christmas Eve and the other Christmas Day.
Wow.
And I fully empathize with that because I'm an April Fool.
Aha.
Yay!
Hey,
So am I.
really?
Yep. April 21st, Bert.
Okay, mine is actually April Fool.
שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבט אחים גם יחד.
Shabbat Shalom. It's nice to be with you this evening. Such a beautiful day. As we welcome in Shabbat, I kind of want to give a few more minutes before we light candles, so we might be able to get our third candle lighter here. So can we do another song?
Sure. Let's go to page 10, and we're going to sing together, Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. How lovely today is.
Page 10.
10.
Second one.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat
So now we turn to page 2. And we invite Emily Brock to the Bima to light Shabbat candles to go with her mother and her soon-to-be mother-in-law. We will have a blessing for Emily and her groom in a little bit. Page 2. It's a surprise. I mean, I just asked them like 5 minutes ago. I was trying to figure out a way to have this, like you could just transfer this. Kind of. Amen. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Excuse me. We continue with Kabbalat Shabbat, or welcoming Shabbat, on page 24. We welcome in the special Shabbat messengers, or angels. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi-melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bo'achem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu mi leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Turning back to page 12 for the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, beginning with Psalm 95. And we're going to be in the middle of the page. The text is Asher lo hayam v'hu asahu, creating the sea. Asher lo hayam v'hu asahu, Asher lo hayam v'hu asahu, v'yavesh et yadav yatzaru, v'yavesh et yadav yatzaru. Asher lo hayam v'hu asahu, on the facing page from Psalm 96, Shiru Ladonai Shir Chadash.
We can turn now to page 20 for Lecha Dodi. So we welcome in Shabbat with light and with song. We welcome in the Shabbat messengers, and now we welcome in the Shabbat presence, sometimes known as the Shabbat bride. When we get to the 9th paragraph, we'll be doing 1, 2, 5, and 9. We get to the 9th paragraph, we turn to welcome the Shabbat presence and any person who just happens to be coming by at that time.
Adonai echad u'shemo echad, shemu l'tiferet ve'litila. Ay 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 lecha dodi, ay 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 likrat kala, ay 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 penne Shabbat, ay 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 nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki hi mekor habracha. מראש מקדם נסוך, סוף מעשה מחשבה תחילה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת חלה, איי 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 פני שבת, איי 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 נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורף כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת חלה, איי 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 פני שבת, איי 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 לקבלה. רואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמונה עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. איי 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 לך דודי, איי 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 לקראת
please take a moment to wish one another Shabbat Shalom. If you need to move around, it's okay to do that. Remember to keep your space.
Shabbat Shalom. Hi, Ruth.
Thing is shedding.
Shabbat Shalom, Ruth.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom. Nochamol.
Unmute yourself, mute.
Shabbat
Ruth.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Good. Helen,
couldn't
Shabbat
find the-
Shalom.
Mute thing.
Yes, Helen.
Helen, wake up. All right, Helen. Hi, Al.
Hi,
Shabbat
Al.
Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Al. Good to
Shalom.
see you. Smile, Al. You're on television. Okay. See you
Page
later.
22 is a psalm for Shabbat. Psalm 92. Top of the psalm, Tov lahodot ladonai. It is good to give thanks to God and to sing praises.
טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון וכינון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשי ידיך ארנים. מה גדלו מעשיך אדוני, לאור עמקו מחשבותיך. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך העליון.
Chetzi Kaddish is on page 26. We make a separation between the first part of the service with welcoming in Shabbat and the rest of the evening service.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, יעלמך יברח ירותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון ויומכון, וחיי זכור בית ישראל. בעגלה בעגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעולם ולעמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמיר קודשה בריחו, לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
Please rise as you are able and body your spirit for Baruch, page 28.
Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai.
Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, u'bitvuna meshana itim, u'chalif et hazmanim, u'mesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Boreyom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'mavdil ben yom u'vein layla, Adonai tzvaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimoch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. On page 33, wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol. All these things your Torah gives to us. And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives. What could be a truer token of your abiding love than this holiest of your works and the living language that gives it form? Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam ושבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוקים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
On page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. Together, the high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה עליונו ואמרו, זה עליונו ואמרו. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. נאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מי החזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ashmor tzitenu uvoenu lechaim uleshalom le'oto le'olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
At the top of page 44 is Vishamru. This Torah portion this week is the very first words of the Torah from creation story, and in that story we have the creation of the first Shabbat. So either it is actively created or it was an absence of any other creation. I'll leave that philosophical question up to you. But in the meantime, it's a reference here, even though this verse comes from Exodus, it's a reference to the creation story. For in 6 days God made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day rested and ceased from work and was refreshed. And that's our legacy, Vishamru.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם
We turn now to the tefillah, which begins with a meditation on page 46 and continues on the even pages. After our words, please rise in body or spirit.
Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid teilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, Omhen Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר מושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו משני עפר, מחמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, נאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. Continue the tefillah silently through
Page 60.
page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, טסים לעולם, וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, טסים לעולם. 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 טסים לעולם. טסים לעולם.
Take a moment now for Misha Barach for healing, page 253 in the prayer book. It's a moment we dedicate to thinking about and sending healing thoughts and energy to those members of our community, our family, our friends who are in need of healing of body, healing of spirit. I have a long list of names to read, and then I'll invite you in the room to add names out loud. If you're online, to type in a name. Those people online will be able to see it. And then even after we have all those names, we'll recognize that there are so many others throughout the world whose names we don't know on the Shabbat are in need of healing, and we hold them in our hearts as well as we can. Page 253, tonight we hold in our hearts for healing Ira Altshuler, Noam Ben Aviv, Lauren Bush, Frank Carl, Lou Salenzi, Alice Elias, Rose Ferraro, Jim Goldman, Ann Fay, Lois Foreman, John Hickson, Sam Kamen, Naum Kaplan, Natalie Klein, Susan Kennedy, Ethel Kennedy, Lee Kramer, Jean Laga, Albert Lepre, Hinda Sarabat Khana Pearl, Elaine Lesgold, Mary Ann Linden, Ann Mallinger, Marlene Marcus, Edward Mims, Jim Newman, Joanne Newman, Lev Podorowski, Sally Seski, Jackie Student, Ellen Sykov, John Spear, Marcia Stewart, Amy Vogel, Lee Willis. Are there any other names for Misha Barach? Go ahead. Continue with Misha Barach, prayer for healing of body and spirit. So it's my privilege to invite Eli LaBelle and Emily Brock to the Bima. Their wedding is tomorrow night. stand a little closer to me. There you go. Thank you. So this week's Torah portion, as I mentioned before, is Bereshit, the very first words of the Torah, and there's creation stories in there. We learn about the creation of the world, and we learn about the creation of humanity, and there's a line, I think that's perfect. There's a line where God realizes that there's one human being, for our purposes, Adam. I don't want to translate to Adam, but Adam is one human being, but that person is alone. And God recognizes that it's not good for a person to be alone. And so God creates another human. And the Hebrew for this other human, or the sort of description for this other person, is ezer lenegdo, which is usually translated as fitting helper. But the word neged can mean like opposite, like I'm sort of neged you, or corresponding to is probably a better word. So this like one human being corresponds to the other human being, and stands in partnership with that person, and together then we have humanity. So what I take from that is this idea that, well, how wonderful that the two of you found each other. He has the best smile, and he smiles with his eyes too, which is really awesome. So that you found each other, and you're not alone, which is a wonderful thing. But we wish for you a partnership of helping one another, supporting one another, being for each other, this ezer lenegdo, this person who stands with the other together, corresponding with one another. And the way I understand it is that you're perfectly whole in and of yourselves, a perfectly whole person, a perfectly whole person. But when we put the two of you together, there's something more, something magical that happens, and we're here to celebrate that with you tonight and tomorrow. So Emily grew up here, really in this room and in this building, and with some of these people. And so I wanted them to take part in the blessing, and so we're all participate in this blessing. In just a moment, I was thinking when we were doing Hashkivenu, the prayer was ask God to spread over us a shelter of peace. Maybe we should have done the blessing then, but I couldn't get my word over to Molly in time. Just so that we could talk, and I'll talk about this tomorrow, just having this idea of a shelter of peace spread over you. And I hope that you feel that this place and the people here, I know this isn't where you grew up, Eli, but just to spread over you this like sense of peace and warmth and protection and love. So I'm going to ask everyone to turn to page 263, and you're just going to listen. And at the bottom of the page, it says wedding blessing. So please read out loud, and you have to read kind of loud because with the masks and the way that this is, they'll only hear me, and I want them to hear you, okay? Source of laughter and gladness, let your presence accompany these loving companions, pour love over them, grant them growth, each alone and together. May health and devotion, laughter and understanding abound for them. May they have the strength to share life's sorrows. May their love deepen and flower. Open their hearts to one another, and may their hands be open to family, to friends, to our people Israel, to all humanity. So we wish them mazel tov. So here, mazel tov from everybody to practice. That's a good one. And I want to wish mazel tov to your families, to both of your families, and to all of the people that are here. It's a mazel tov for all of us. And can't wait to be with you tomorrow night under the chuppah. Mazel tov.
Thank you so much.
I remember Emily's bat mitzvah speech really well. Do any of you remember Emily's bat mitzvah speech? She talked about sitting around the table and who sat in what places. So I think I'll just take this off for a bit. I'm going to introduce you tonight to two women. There's probably two people in the room for sure that know of these two women, but for maybe the rest of you, it'll be an introduction. The two women are Lilith and Rabbi Regina Jonas. I'm imagining there's a couple people who know. Neither one of these two women is known as the first woman ever. That's Lilith would be known as the first woman ever, but instead we have Eve, or the first woman rabbi. We normally think of Sally Prezan for that honor, but it's really Rabbi Regina Jonas. So tonight we're going to learn about the two firsts that we don't really recognize as the two firsts. I'd just like to acknowledge that these powerful teachings were first shared by Rabbi Daniel Kurzane in 2015 as a Chicago rabbi. So we know about Eve, who I mentioned, this woman, the first one in the Torah, the creation story. Her name in Hebrew is Chava, which means life. And in the creation story, we read that she's created from part of Adam. This is not the same Adam that I was talking to Eli and Emily about, just so to make it really confusing, but I'm about to straighten that out. So this woman's name is Chava, and she's usually translate that to Eve. Chava means life. And we read that she's created from a part of Adam, usually referred to as Adam's rib, but probably more probably more true to the Hebrew as his side. We read about a snake who convinces Eve to eat the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil, which she's not supposed to eat. And her punishment ultimately is to bear children in pain and to be ruled by her husband. So Adam and Eve have to, stop giving each other knowing looks. Adam and Eve have to leave the Garden of Eden, and they, like every human being after them, must live and die as mortals. So that's the story that we find in chapter 2 and 3 of Genesis. And chapter 1 is really what I was referring to with Eli and Emily. There's a different story about the origin of our species. And in that version, God created a human being, this Adam, in God's image, creating this person in the image of God. Male and female, God created them. And then we have this idea that that Adam person needs to have another person. So there's, in this account, which is in the first chapter, there's no rib, there's no forbidden fruit, there's no garden of Eden, well, there might be, there's no sin, and there's no curse. All right, so chapter 1 and chapter 2, two totally different stories. So for many, many, probably thousands of years, people have been reading these two stories, and then they wonder what happened to this unnamed woman, this one that is created as the helper in chapter 1. Is that the same person as Eve in chapter 2? Does everyone understand the question? And if she's not, then what happened to that first woman? Where did she go? What happened to her? So in the 8th century, a version appeared with a reconciliation, a version appeared in our sacred literature of a way to harmonize these two stories. So in this version, although male and female are created side by side, and at the same time, Adam is created out of like the good stuff, and the woman is created out of like what's left over. Adam commands his wife, whose name is Lilith, to be subservient to him. And she resists, and she says, "The two of us are equal since we are both from the same earth." But Adam refuses to listen, and so Lilith leaves. She flies out of the Garden of Eden. She flies out. Eventually, she transforms into a demon, and she watches Adam find a new, more submissive wife, which is Eve. Now remember, this is a midrash, so this is someone's filling in the blanks. Lilith declares Adam and Eve her enemies, and she threatens the life of newborn children throughout the ages. So I think this is a really fascinating story about why, and really I want to understand why the rabbis hate Lilith so much and are so, why do they hate women so much? Why do they hate Lilith so much? It's really interesting. Tomorrow morning at Torah study, we're going to talk a little bit more about it. But for our purposes right now, I just want you to know that the first woman might not be who we always thought she was. And even though there's this demonization that happens, really the only thing that the Midrash says that she did was she wanted to be equal to Adam. So just putting that out there. On this Shabbat, we also commemorate not only Eve and Lilith, but we commemorate another first woman, this one whose story has mostly been eclipsed by history. Most of us probably have heard of the name of Rabbi Sally Prezan. She was the first woman ordained in this country as a rabbi, and she was ordained in 1972. And she's usually thought of as the world's first female rabbi, but she's not. As I mentioned before, that honor goes to the Rabbina Regina Jonas, who was born in Berlin, Germany in 1902. Raise your hand if you've never heard of her before. This is news to you that there was another rabbi. Surprise. So she was born in 1902. She was raised in a poor Orthodox family. At age 21, she enrolled in a school called the Higher Institute for Jewish Learning in Berlin. At that time, the other women that were enrolled in the school were in education, but even from the beginning, Regina wanted to be a rabbi. She said even then, and this is like 1920, so she wanted to receive rabbinic ordination. So this institute was a liberal one, but she actually never strayed away from her Orthodox beliefs and her Orthodox practices. And she was very careful to study the traditional texts. She wrote a thesis called, "Can a Woman Hold Rabbinical Office?" And she did it through traditional texts and studied the traditional text. And she, in her thesis, demonstrated that the ancient rabbis held a variety of attitudes towards women, some of them positive and some of them negative. And this is what she wrote. Despite this range of views, however, disparaging opinions of the sages penetrated the people who, unfortunately, oftentimes remembered only the negative and doubting assertions. So you have all these traditions about women, there's so glowing, wonderful things about women, and also these like really, really bad. And the rabbis who were in charge focused on the negative and said, then women can't be rabbis. But she argued persuasively enough to satisfy her thesis advisor. And he acknowledged that according to Jewish law, a woman can be appointed to rabbinical office. It took her another 4 years for the liberal movement in Germany to authorize a private ordination for her. And then 7 years after that, Leo Beck, who is a world-renowned rabbi, certified her ordination when he was head of all German Jewry. So this happened in about 1935. In 1937, she became officially employed by the Jewish community of Berlin. She was a chaplain in hospitals and she served the elderly. And when the Nazis started arresting all the male leadership, she began to fill in for them after there were a lot of positions that were open, and she started to fill in for them. And then on November 6th, 1942, she was deported to Theresienstadt, where she was murdered right away. But in the very short time that she was there before she was murdered, she saw to the spiritual and emotional needs of her neighbors, and she taught and she spoke and she did sermons and she gave lectures, and she was hoping to she didn't die at Theresienstadt. She lived at Theresienstadt for a little bit. I'm sorry, I apologize. So while she was at Theresienstadt, she was she served as a rabbi to the community. Then she was transferred to Auschwitz and she was killed right away. So she did have a period of time in Theresienstadt where she was trying to raise the hope of her fellow prisoners. So on October 12th, that's when she was deported of 1944, that's when she was transported to Auschwitz and she was killed right away. Sadly, 3 months later, Auschwitz was liberated. So for over 50 years, that story has been lost to history, but just like, we have this elusive first woman of Genesis chapter 1, it's been easy to overlook Regina Jonas in light of the more familiar story, the one that we're familiar with, of Rabbi Sally Prezan and American women rabbis. But in 2014, a delegation of women rabbis got together in Germany to try to learn more about Rabbi Jonas. This group included the first female rabbis of the major American denominations, and they concluded in this journey that this Shabbat Bereshit, where we read the creation story, is the anniversary of Jonas's deportation to Auschwitz, would serve as her yard site. So this is considered to be the anniversary of her death, this Torah portion. And so tonight we're joining with Jews around the world in honoring her memory. I hope there are many people who are learning about Rabbi Jonas tonight. I'd just like to share a few lines that are from a sermon that she gave while she was in Theresienstadt to conclude this message. She wrote, "Our Jewish people is sent from God into history as blessed. To be blessed by God means wherever one steps in every life situation, to give blessing, kindness, and faithfulness." She's writing from a concentration camp, right? Wherever one steps in every life situation, to give blessing, kindness, and faithfulness. Men and women, women and men have undertaken this duty with the same Jewish faithfulness. May all our work which we have tried to perform as God's servants be a blessing for Israel's future and humanity. And for that we say, Amen. So we shall add her name to our list for Kaddish tonight. Before we do that, though, we'll turn to page 282 and please rise as you're able for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטל שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכינו זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, והשיבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please remain standing. Kaddish is on page 294. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and all those whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We think of our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us: Barbara Bailey, Judy Cohen Kalman, Howard Hanna, Earl Latterman, Levander Payne, Todd Rasko, Shirley Shepman, Somia Srinivasan, Norman B. Weisenbaum, Max Westerman, Doreen Zisla. We also remember those who died at this season in years past and whose yahrzeit we observe on this Shabbat: Helen Berkey, Alexander Bluestone, Belle Comins, Libby Cooper, Bertram Dinman, Benjamin Frank, Sam Frost, Rachel Goldfarb, Stephanie Harrison, Shirley Joel, Marion L. Cart, Ruben Lesgold, Donald Ladove, Elise Miller, Harriet Newman, Adolph Ostro, Murray Reedboard, Alan Rogal, Sari Rogal, Arthur Rogo, Sylvia Rosenzweig, Edgar Roth, Harry Rubin, Sally Schmieren, Pauline Silk, Sylvia Smizek, Sheila Strasburger, Milton Swartz, Leroy Yar, Sigmund Yar, Rabbi Regina Jonas. Other names for Kaddish? Raise your hand
Esther
if you have
Snyder.
any. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing. Yit gadal, vit kadash, shamei rabba,
Amen.
biama divrach rute, viamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uchaye dechol be Israel, bagala uvizman kari vimru, amen.
Amen.
Ehei shmei rabba mavarach le'olam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasa, v'yitadar v'yitala v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'rechu. Leila min kol berchata v'sherata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran bialma v'imru, amen.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, huya oseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. You may be seated. In just a few moments, we'll conclude our service with Ki Eshmeira Shabbat on page 330 and follow that with Kiddush and Motzi. Thank you to Don and Molly. Did everyone get Don's, like, what do you call that?
Glissando.
What? Was it in
It was like, yeah,
He went like down the whole piano. What's it called?
a glissando.
A glissando. Do y'all get that? It was really magnificent. And thank you to Molly.
Rabbina.
Mazel tov again to Eli and Emily, and to your families, to Susan and Richard, to the Bell family, and to all of you that are here. Thank you for filling up the side of the room so nicely. And it was good to be with all of you tonight. There's really no announcements. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for services, with Torah study at 9 o'clock. We'll learn a little bit more about Lilith. Thank you to Luke up there. He runs our technology to make sure that everyone online can see and hear what we're doing. And also to Paige, who's making sure that it all runs smoothly. All right, so we turn to page 330 for our concluding song, Ki Eshmeira Shabbat.
Ki eshmeira Shabbat, el yishmereni. Ki eshmeira Shabbat, el yishmereni. Oti le'ol me'od, beino u'beini. Oti le'ol me'od, beino u'beini. Ki eshmeira Shabbat, el yishmereni. Ki eshmeira Shabbat, el yishmereni.
Kiddush is on page 5.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'asei bereshit, ki hu yom techila ספרי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
L'chaim. Because we're so carefully cutting this challah, we hope you'll come up and get some.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המוציא לחם מן הארץ.
Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Please be sure to return
Peter.
your prayer books
Shabbat
as you are
shalom.
leaving and getting
Oh,
challah.
Shabbat Shalom. I'll see you. I'll be running.
Shabbat
Goodbye.
shalom.